Christina Hill, and this is the Own Your Crap podcast. In my early 30s, I found myself in a dangerous downward spiral of depression and misery, and I truly thought my life was over. Until an amazing teacher told me that the secret to my healing was to own my crap. Literally own it. Accept it for what it is and move forward from there. And I can honestly say that from that day on, everything in my life changed. So I'm here to help you, inspire you, and guide you so that you too can own your crap and live your best fucking life. Each week, I want to take you on a journey that helps you figure out a path that works for you. A path to change, nurture, and develop what I consider to be the pillars of a happy and successful life. Your mental health, your physical health, and your financial health. As well as stories, tips, and tricks from my own life, I want to share with you some nuggets of gold from some of the most amazing special guests. I'm super grateful for you joining me on this journey. And if you like what you hear, or if you know someone who could benefit from this, then please share, like, and follow this podcast. It really helps get the message to people who need it. Now, get ready to own your crap. Welcome back to the Own Your Crap podcast. I'm super excited today to have Lou Driver, who not only is a long time friend of mine, but someone who I know for her own personal struggles has gone through her own crap and has come out the other side having built a life and a business around that now, sending it back out into the universe, helping other people in terms of their strength, their health, their fitness, their nutrition, all of these things that I think in our modern day life, we've completely forgotten what it means to be well and be happy and not be in a state of dis-ease. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Lou. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah. Can we start by telling from your side who you are, what do you do, and how did all of this come about?
Okay, Lou Driver. I run an online coaching business. I specialise in strength training and nutrition for women, and along what comes with that is really looking into your hormone health and your energy delivery and all those sorts of things that come with being the modern woman that's trying to train and get healthy. So that's what my business is. From where I came from is pretty much that place. I spent many years, I think from the first day I ever got my period, it was horrendous, and I had endometriosis. So I went through all of that all my life. I then went through a period of my life where I had chronic thrush as well for years. Flew across the country trying to get answers everywhere. I was directly told by a doctor once, "Oh, don't worry about your nutrition. It's got nothing to do with that."
Gosh.
Yeah. So really no help. It was just like here's another pill, take a pill. And then kind of alongside, I've always been fairly conscious of what I thought was the right thing to eat. So lots of salads and broccolis and nuts and all the rest of it. Probably wasn't eating anywhere near enough calories out of that type of food. But I've wanted to get into training more, and I found through the training, I actually found pro-metabolic eating and how it can just basically reset your system, balance your hormones, get your metabolism going. And I spent about 18 months doing that, and I came off of all medication. I don't have any more endometriosis symptoms. I don't have any problem periods. My energy is fantastic, and I'm a busy woman now running a business, and I've had anywhere between 2 and 4 kids in my house at any given time while doing all of this. And I really am passionate now about women building muscle.
Oh, fabulous. And I think in today's society, our health is put so much on the back burner from a really young age. We're conditioned around, you go to school, you get a good education, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you work that career. Never in that is looking back at, am I actually healthy? Am I actually happy? Is this actually good for me? And I suffered, huge hormone depletions. I've had adrenal fatigue. I've got hypothyroidism, and little did I know until after I had my 2 kids, which I struggled hugely to get, because of low testosterone, you know, all over the place, that I've had endometriosis my whole life.
Yeah.
No one has ever asked me in all that fertility struggle, oh, has anyone ever had a look? You know, they go in there after the fact and it's like, yeah. And it's like now they realize, oh, you've got all this trouble. No wonder you couldn't have
kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my goodness. So women are so problematic periods. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I get pretty passionate about this one. Women's hormones and problematic periods and things like that. It seems to be, my mum didn't know any better. She had very problematic periods. Turns out endometriosis, fibroids, all those sorts of things. So when I got my period and it was horrendous, my mum kind of went, oh, well, you've got my lot, because that's how doctors treated her. So she didn't know any better either. And you just kind of given the, oh, well, that's your lot. You're someone that periods. And it actually doesn't have to be that way.
No, and I love that there's actually things we can do. And I've since learned, working with integrated health professionals, not just standard GPs, who, if it doesn't come under the prescription of a tablet, then it can't be fixed. Go home and live with that. But there's so much we can do. And it is very much always comes back to gut health, diet, and going back to old school. So I'd love to know, with all this dis-ease in women today, what can people actually do about it? Where do they even start?
Oh, it's a big thread to pull, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Look, in my sort of arena, I think some of the bigger ticket items to start looking at is things like, are you balancing your blood sugar? In other words, are you eating well-balanced meals throughout the day, or are they that disproportionate that, you know, your blood sugar spikes up, it comes crashing down, it spikes up again? We're meant to have a fluctuation, but it's meant to be a nice rolling wave, not this climb a cliff, fall off a cliff type thing. So, you know, learning a little bit about how to balance your blood sugar, eating enough. Let's put strength training aside. Muscle, we are an under-muscled society, and muscle really, really has a lot to do with women's hormone. Women are just so sensitive with hormones. We have a lot more fluctuations, and we're not as robust as a male model. Now, that's not to say males don't have issues, but women just are impacted a lot more. And, you know, if we can hone in on some of that and build some muscle, it's very hormonal supportive. But let's just take that aside for a second. Most people aren't even eating enough to keep themselves fueled, or they feel like they're not eating a lot, but it's all these heavily processed foods, which we don't actually understand what's in them when we talk about macros and calories, that our calorie intake is excessive. And there doesn't seem to be this healthy balance in between.
Because I know that I've got pretty old school parents, and so it was very much basic whole foods. My mum, when we grew up, never really cooked out of a packet. Everything was her own sauces, her own this. And I very much try to do that myself. And I have a genuine passion for cooking. I love food and I love flavors. But even then, from listening to a couple of your podcasts, I realized that I fell into the same trap of going, I'll have, you know, to be healthy is a piece of lean chicken and a salad. And
where's the carbs in that to support your body? Like there's actually no carbs in there, as well as a plateful of salad is really hard to digest. So one, it's not bioavailable, so you don't get much nutrient, even though they can go, yes, broccoli has this. How much of it are you absorbing? It's actually not much. And then when you eat these sort of things in excessive amounts, we can go down the path of they've got some anti-nutrients like oxalates and all that sort of stuff. So that's even problematic. But that excess amount of fiber is just ripping our guts up. It causes a lot of inflammation. And then anything good we do eat is still hard to absorb. So our body is just always undernourished.
Yeah. And it's something that I think, as I look at the way people live and the way the society is built, it's getting anything fast. We live in a family with our son having food allergies that I read labels. And so I'm very aware. I do know that even in our society, in my life, I eat limited range of food because I trust certain things. And you're busy, it's the end of the day, you just want a go-to meal. So we eat the same kinds of things. So I grew up on Spaghetti Wednesday in our household.
Fish Friday.
Yeah. So I totally understand that, and with influences and so many different themes of keto and everyone going plant-based,
It doesn't have to be that complicated.
I still come back to just basic whole food. If it looks like it did in the paddock, whether it was walking around in the paddock or growing in the paddock, then it's going to go on my plate.
Yeah.
And
it's the best place to start, getting rid of all those additives and extras and things that are highly processed to get to your plate.
Yeah. So what kinds of symptoms for women to look for? How would they even know? Because you go to your GP and they can't tell you what's wrong with you because they don't know where to look. What kind of signs and symptoms should a woman look for to go, oh, my body's not doing well? Or then as you progress, what do they look for when it is doing well?
I think, I think things like constant bloat, gas, constant constipation, or to the other end, really loose stools all the time. Anything, that's digestive issues there. There'll be a lot of inflammation and everything. Then you would look to your hormone things, those excessive mood swings that can be related to your cycle. You might, I always took it in, my niche of things is if your period is that bad, it's pulling you up from training, you've got a problem. Mm-hmm. Like if you can't, and I get that there are days where you just feel bleh. I get that. But if you've got painful periods and every single month it causes that much pain or they're that heavy and clotted that it interferes with day-to-day life, you have a problem. Yeah. You should actually have you might feel a little bit heavier. You might feel a little bit, some women report that they don't have the same type of strength in the gym at the time. But generally, it shouldn't pull you up. So if you've got those sorts of symptoms, no, it's not normal. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I took on my journey was I went looking for a strength training program and some more structure and found out I had all these issues. They weren't normal because I'd been told they were normal for so long.
Yeah.
Trust your gut that your period health is actually a very normal part of your life. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't be problematic stopping life. Having those afternoon slumps where you get home and from work and you've just got to sit down on the couch and you just can't cope with anything else. I think the lack of ability to be able to cope with stress in life, and when I'm talking about stress, I'm not talking about like significant things. So if I talk about my life, I know my partner's had cancer. He got kidney cancer back again. He's recently, we thought he had a heart attack. Thank God he didn't. They're really stressful events. They're things you will be stressed about and you can recover from. But if work is a constant grind, kids are the constant grind, maintaining your relationship with your husband, if that just feels like a constant grind, in absence of anything major like, unhealthy relationships or, an unhealthy workplace, take that sort of stuff out. If you feel stressed by that sort of stuff all the time, it's generally because you don't have the nutrition and the support behind you. Your body isn't functioning properly for you to have the energy to be able to recover from stressful moments. And you are more sensitive to stress. Yeah. So that can be another.
And it's a vicious cycle. I think when you're stressed, your body goes into that fight and flight mode. It goes, I need to hold on to everything that comes into me because what if the food disappears? So you tend to put on weight in stressful situations. You're not making the healthiest diet choices. So then when you do go, oh, I'm putting on a bit of weight, you then cut back on your intake. Your body then goes into more stress because
more stress.
Now you've cut down on my food intake. I'm going to hold on to every single little bit of fat cell possible. And I think women need to give themselves permission to go, I'm not holding it up, especially us mums.
Mum guilt. Yeah. Mum guilt about you must lay down. Look, I'm going to be honest, I've never been like that with my kids. I run a pretty tight ship around here. Love them to death, would give them anything, but I do have expectations with them. And I have always said, I've got to go and do something for me because to be a good person. Yeah. But it really is a big thing that mums are expected to give up everything. And what goes on the back burner? Their health.
Yes. Yeah.
Their own energy tank. giving to themselves to keep out of that stressful state, to find some space for relaxation. It's actually okay to do that. We should do that to be a better mum.
Absolutely. At the moment, for us, we're battling with Blake and his eczema. We're up all night. It's horrendous. But even I have to make myself put that guilt aside. I can't, and I say to him, I can't go to you. He's 9 years old. I can't go to you right now. You have to just sit and give me 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, or go to Dad, because otherwise I won't be able to give to you at all.
Yeah.
And I think
he has another person there. He's got Dad. It's okay.
Yes. And women need to put their foot down and be stronger for themselves, so then they can a lot more lighter own their crap, carry that load, and be who they want to be. Because we all, as mothers, we want to be the caregiver and the one who's there for them and the problem solver. But we have to solve and look after ourselves.
Be the caregiver from a healthy state, not at
Absolutely.
the expense of you, but at the strength of you to be able to care in maximum capacity, because you are strong and you are healthy and your cup is full from all those perspectives. I know I come from a very nutritional and physical health perspective, but there is that mental health perspective. There is that, is your cup full perspective. Your sense of self, becoming a mum, you can really lose your sense of self. And if you don't get selfish in inverters, because I still don't even like people going, you're allowed to be selfish. Fact that you're not being selfish. You're allowed to have your time. Please don't label it as selfish. Because it's still putting a connotation to it that you shouldn't be doing it.
You absolutely have to fill your cup first. So with family life in mind, how can this be blended into family life? People, and I'm like you, I'm old school. If it's on the plate, you eat it. I don't do fussy eaters. I'm not a short order cook, but I know a lot of families have that trouble with, oh, my children don't eat this, they don't eat that. And not having the time, how do you, and what kinds of things would you have you put on your plate that everyone can eat, that's then good for everyone, and it's simple, good, wholesome things?
Look, I think when you can in your mind get past the brainwashing that broccoli and salad have all the nutrition you need, and you realize that things like potato, sweet potato, root veg, tropical fruits, any sort of ripe, beautiful fruits, honeys, dairy, meat, have all the same nutrition, but is actually more bioavailable. What you put on your plate, the family enjoys. So I don't really have that issue with they won't eat. If I'm trying to get them to eat a salad, sure, they're like, that not so much, thanks. But if I put down steak and air fryer chips with a really nice seasoning that's just, clean spices, it's got no anti-caking agents and fillers and emulsifiers and all that shit in it. It's just, a nice piece of steak, some great potatoes that are covered in some nice coconut oil, air fried. So, the oil's not heavy, but the coconut oil is really good for you. It's not processed seed oils, some really nice seasoning, and some clean tomato sauce on the side. You tell me what kid's going to say no to that.
Yeah. And I think it amazes me. People don't realize that is okay. Like it's totally fine to have that.
To have deep fried chips every night, because the level of fat is going to blow your caloric intake of your maintenance of what your body requires in calories to exist and function with your, your everyday to day life, whatever level of activity you do. So you don't want to go to deep fried stuff. And then on top of it, these oils that are used in the deep frying in commercial and all that sort of stuff. We're talking about the seed oils, the canola oils, cottonseed oil, all those sorts of, any sort of vegetable oil. The process in which they are derived from their original place puts them into oxidization, and then within our body they cause oxidative stress. There's actually a big link to it behind diabetes and insulin resistance and everything. It's not the sugar, it's actually the polyunsaturated oils. So move away from those shitty oils. Use it really, I can use duck fat, tallow, coconut oil, any of those, coat my chips in them, put them in the air fryer. So it's not large amounts of fat, but it's good fat, healthy fat, with a really nice piece of, steak or chicken or something like that. They love it. They love it. You don't actually have that many problems getting good food into them when you understand that those old-fashioned good foods, like grandma and grandpa used to do butter, and once upon a time we never used to force develop bread with yeast. It was always done from a sourdough technique. That's actually like a 24 30 hour process, which breaks the gluten down. We were also using grains that weren't covered in pesticides, but it breaks the gluten down and it's easier to digest. And for many, many moons, that's how they survived on bread. That sort of bread's actually good for you.
Yeah.
So I think they're all the things that kids will eat.
Yeah. So in our modern day shops, most of the food that is in Coles, in all those aisles, didn't exist 50 years ago. And so even what I tried to do is do the fruit and veg section, go along the back, do the meat run and the dairy cabinet, the freezer section, and then only if I have to dip into those aisles. Because, there's, the basics that you need for your pantry staples, your herbs and spices and all those kinds of things. But to try my best to stay out of that core packaged, processed section, and then make my recipes from anything else that I can get out.
Another thing I like to do to stay awake, because this is the thing, there's so much sneaky stuff in our products that we don't actually know what we're eating. So when people go on about intuitive eating and things like that, we actually don't know how to eat anymore. We don't know what feels good for us because we don't know what's in it to begin with. How do you know if something? So I looked at one point, I went, right, well, what products am I using in the cupboard that I actually still could make a lot of things out of that I can change? And I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples. Tin tomatoes. There are lots of brands with citric acid in it. There are lots of brands that are just tomatoes. Change your brand. Get rid of the citric acid. You actually don't need it, and it's just another thing mess with you. It's put in there as a preservative and as part of processing. But you certainly can get cheap enough brands that just don't have it. Orange juice. Just buy 100% orange juice. Woolworths actually do the cheapest orange juice that has nothing in it, and it is, similar price to the ones that have got added things into it. So start picking brands of things, because you can find brands of things that don't have additives in it, or find an alternative for it. And once I've found my brands and my things for like the main staples in my cupboard, things get a lot easier to cook, because really then it's like those outside aisles that you talk about and you pull a meal together. Find things like, pasta sauces. So if we're talking convenience to help save with time, you can get things like your pasta sauces and stuff. You just got to spend some time reading the labels and work out which ones are good. So you don't have to cook pasta sauce from scratch. You can still use some convenience to pull things together.
Yeah, it's funny when you do start reading labels, you realise that a lot of the time the brands with the colourful label are the ones that have more stuff in it. And the home brands ones, take coconut cream, for example, the brands and all that stuff. You read the component of actual coconut in them, and it's about 60%, and the rest is stabilizers and water. The 90-cent Woolworths one is about 75% coconut milk. And then, so it's not pure, but it's better and it's cheaper. And it's knowing which brands don't have the garbage in them, and then just going for them, and be prepared to spend a little bit more on some things, but trading it off, knowing that you're giving your family the best. So you'll save yourself in the long run. I too used to be on an absolute battery of pills for this ailment, that ailment, gastro reflux, my thyroid, then my adrenal glands don't work properly. My iron levels just plummeted out of nowhere, just went zero. I had zero iron reserves, got an iron transfusion, and then for the next year I had way too much iron because my body just couldn't cope with being in a stable place. And I think also it's more than just diet for a lot of people. It's lifestyle. What can you change For me, it was drastic change, huge change. Leave the city, get out of corporate life because it was killing me.
So you found corporate life was killing you, but sometimes it can just be we fear leaving that job. There'll always be another job. It doesn't mean you have to leave today and leave yourself with no money. But if your workplace is toxic, if the work you do doesn't inspire you, get another job.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, stop whinging about it and stop allowing it to run you with this stress.
Yep.
Job.
Yeah.
Even if you have to make some little sacrifices and take a pay cut for a little bit till you find more of what you want. But in the beginning, it doesn't have to be like, I could actually step you through all things that happened in my life and why I kept changing. I've had a few career changes along the way. But all of that has brought me to this because I just made a better choice each time. This isn't for me. Why find a job that meets the why it isn't and move in that direction.
Yes.
You know, it's got to be better.
It does. And there's so many things, small things that people can do to have a huge impact on their life, to start them on a journey to better health, better physical health, better mental health. And it's by listening to your body and critically questioning the advice. If you're the kind of person that goes to your GP and they go, oh, you're fine, you know inside you
if
that
in here,
you're not.
if in your heart, if in your center, you go, but I really don't feel good because I'm sorry, we are meant to feel good. We have moments in life that are stressful. We have moments in life that we're excessively tired because we had a late night or a lot has gone on or the dog was kept us up. They're moments in life, but if you constantly feel shit, you have something out of sorts in your life, whether it's nutrition, movement, mental health, any of those. Some more really basic things we can do. Step out into the sun. Enough. Like, get some sun without the screen, the shirt, with the UV blocker glasses for 10 minutes. I'm not talking about go out in the sun and fry yourself and get burnt. I'm just talking about going out into the sun at around midday and get 10 minutes on your skin. It's where the vitamin D synthesis happens. Slip, slop, slap. Biggest media campaign ever has made us sicker than ever.
Yeah,
because we get no sunshine.
No, we're staying out of it, and then when we do go in it, we're scared of it, so we slather on, you know, all these chemical blockers on our skin. People who might not know
the chemicals that you put on with the sunscreen. Absolutely.
I'm red hair, freckles, fair skin. I haven't worn sunscreen in 3 years, and we live in the van. We're outside all the time, but I pick and choose when I go outside. I feel my skin go, yep, I've got too much today. I'll have a break for a day or so. My son's got super fair skin, and we haven't worn sunscreen traveling all across Australia. I don't have it because I know that it's not good. It's a worse choice for me. I can manage my sun exposure in a way that's safe and healthy. We don't get sunburnt. We don't lay out in the sun. My kids do wear rashies.
But when you're in an office all day. When you're in an office all day, so you've got the slip, slop, slap campaign. Then we are a industrialized society that is keeping everyone indoors in our jobs and all the rest of it. People feel chained to their desks, and I'm going to challenge how many of you out there are still sitting at your desk eating lunch, and if you're not, you're just trotting to the little room that's right there. You continue your toxic gossip that's going on about people. We're back.
We're back. It was that toxic gossip. Going to the lunchroom that you kind of cut out.
So going into the lunchroom, that toxic type of gossip, or the rest of it. Step out into the sunshine and the fresh air when you eat your lunch. Just go eat your lunch and invite your friends to come with you. People just stay indoors. If you're having sleep issues, reset your circadian rhythm. Turn down all the bright lights of the night time as much as you can when we talk about blue light and all the rest of it. Try and stop screen time half an hour before I'm into bed, half an hour before I'm ready to sleep. and just read or listen to a podcast or something. So I've got that blue light filter coming into me, and I use blue light filters where I can. But stepping outside in the morning, without even me, I've got glasses, but they've got anti-glare on them. I take the glasses off. I look towards the direction of the sun. I'm going to pick my words because some people like to take you literally. No, people, I'm not suggesting glare at the sun and blind yourself. Can we use some common sense?
Yep.
But you want your face up towards the sun and get that sunshine. 5 minutes. Get your damn coffee or tea, stand outside in the light. It doesn't have to be bright. It's that very first thing in the morning light will help you reset your circadian rhythm and sleep better.
Yes.
There's so many benefits from it. And it's just a really simple thing that you have got time for. And if you're that rushed in the morning getting out of the door, set your alarm 5 minutes earlier. I mean, it's not that, if you're that rushed, you're not getting up super early in the morning anyway. So you can afford 5 minutes more.
Yep. Oh, I love it. So how and where can people get more information from you about what you do and the services that you offer?
So if anyone wants to know any more, you can come to my Instagram page. Strength Nutritionist is where you will find me. Drop me a DM because I love a chat. So even if you're just curious, just drop me a DM. I'm always happy to chat and give out some pointers wherever I can to help people along the way.
Lovely. Oh, thank you so much. I hope people have found some tips in there about changing their life, realizing that their body is it's the feedback mechanism. If you're not feeling right on a day-to-day basis, then something is wrong. And the place to start with is coming back to basics with your food. What are you putting in your body to fuel it? What are you putting in it? What are you putting on it? What environmental stress factors do you have around you? How can you come back to a homeostasis of just wellness? We should be well, not bouncing off the walls at all the time, but just have that sense of comfort within ourselves that we're in a good place. Yeah,
absolutely. I love your message. Thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome. I love the whole idea behind Own Your Crap, because more of us need to do it.
We absolutely do. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
No worries.
As always, if you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who you think needs to hear this message. Please rate the podcast wherever you're listening to this and follow it so you get a notification when next week, 5 o'clock on a Thursday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time, this hits the airwaves. And as always, just keep creating the life you deserve. You know, own your crap, carry it with you. You can't change the past, but you absolutely, hands down, can change every detail of the future and make your life amazing. So have a fabulous week. And we'll catch you around.